Good morning, friends. Mrs. Sayla here. So, yesterday I told you I was going to tell you a story about Little Red Riding Hood. And in the story, there's a wolf and a grandmother. So, there's three characters: Little Red Riding Hood, the wolf, and the grandmother. Ooh, but I'm forgetting one of the characters. Towards the end of the story, a woodcutter appears. Have you heard this story before? Did you say wolf? I did say wolf. This is a bad wolf. I'm not a bad wolf. No, you're not. But sometimes in stories, the wolves are bad. Like the three pigs and the big bad wolf. Yeah, the one who huffs and puffs and blows everything down. I know that story. Okay, well, this one's about Red Riding Hood. So, are you ready to hear? Yeah, I am. Hi, friends. Okay, you rest, and we're going to tell the story of Red Riding Hood. I have this special doll my mom made for me when I was a little kid. This is Red Riding Hood. Okay? So once upon a time, there was a little girl named Red Riding Hood. And she was going to go visit her grandmother. Grandmother hadn't been feeling well, and Red was a fabulous baker, and she was going to go visit her grandmother and take her some sweet treats. So she packed her little basket with muffins and cookies and lovely sweet things to eat. And she started walking through the forest on the path that would take her to her grandmother's house. Well, along the way, Red Riding Hood saw lovely flowers, and she saw bees and butterflies, so she was pretty distracted at looking at all these wonderful things in the forest that were buzzing about. She didn't know that there was a wolf hiding behind a tree, watching every step she took. He was curious what she was doing. So when she wasn't expecting him, he popped out and he said, "Where are you going, young lady? And what have you got in your basket?" And she said, "I have some lovely sweet treats that I'm going to take to my grandmother. She lives at the other side of the forest." Thought the wolf. I would like sweet treats, but Red wouldn't share. So he went about his way. She thought no more about him and continued on her la-di-da-di-da-di-da path to the grandmother's. Well, she didn't know that before she got to her grandmother's house, the wolf, watch this, do you hear the bell? The wolf had already gone to grandmother's. Is this a cool doll? Here's grandmother. And the wolf had knocked on the grandmother's door. And she opened the door and she said, "What do you need?" And the wolf said, "I've come to trick Red Riding Hood. She's on her way to your house with a basket full of goodies, and I want those goodies." And grandmother said, "Well, no, you don't, Mr. Wolf. You don't get my goodies." But he wanted the goodies, and what she didn't know is he secretly kind of wanted to eat Red Riding Hood, because you know how the bad wolves are. So grandmother slammed the door, said, "No, no, no, Wolf, you don't get in." So he went around the side of the house, and grandmother didn't know it, and he snuck in the house, and he got grandmother and hid her in the basement, and he dressed up in grandmother's clothes. Check it out. Here's the wolf. So he got all dressed up in grandmother's clothes, and he tucked himself into grandmother's bed. And remember, she was locked away in the basement. Pretty soon, Red Riding Hood appeared at the door. Knock, knock, knock. Grandmother, let me in. It's Red Riding Hood. So the wolf said, "Oh, please come in, Red. I'm in the bed and I'm too tired to get up." So Red Riding Hood let herself in and came into Grandmother's room, and she looked at her grandmother and she said, "Grandmother, what big ears you have." We know it's the wolf, but the wolf said, "Well, Red Riding Hood, my ears are big because I can hear you better." Oh, she thought, but Grandmother, what big eyes you have. "Oh, yeah, my big eyes help me see you better, Red." And she said, "But Grandmother, what a big mouth and teeth you have." And that's when the wolf surprised Red and jumped out of the bed, and he said, "The better to eat the sweet treats, and I'm gonna eat you." And Red Riding Hood was shouting and screaming, "No, where's my grandmother?" And that's when the woodcutter appeared. And he came bursting in the door, and he said, "What is going on here?" And Red said, "I can't find my grandmother. The wolf has taken her and dressed up in her clothes, and he's trying to trick me. He wants to eat grandmother's sweet treats, and he wants to eat me." And with that, the woodcutter started swinging his mighty axe, and the wolf thought, "Holy moly, I gotta get out of here." So the wolf ran out of the house so quickly that he just ran out of grandmother's clothes. Well, Red Riding Hood was so frightened, she didn't know where her grandmother was, and the woodcutter suddenly hears someone shouting from the basement, "Help me! Help me!" And he used his mighty axe to whack the wood on the basement door, and there, lo and behold, was grandmother. And Red helped her get her own night clothes. That's what you call like your little sleeping gown. Helped her get her little night clothes back on, and grandmother was safe. They were so grateful to the woodcutter that grandmother and Red and the woodcutter sat down together to eat all the sweet treats that Red had brought. And the wolf, well, nobody ever saw him again, and he never tried to come back to Red Riding Hood's grandmother's house. The end. And here's Red Riding Hood again. You know, we don't really know what happened to that wolf. He ran away. He could be the wolf that shows up with the 3 pigs. You just never know. But that is the story of Little Red Riding Hood, your little braids, and the Big Bad Wolf. Hope you liked it.